My name is Cecile Clodier. I studied German. I participated in two Add One challenges, and I'm studying it. It's kind of a long story, but I like drag performers, and I became a huge fan of Conchita Wurst from Austria, who won Eurovision in 2014. Unfortunately, even though Conchita speaks amazing English, she rarely gives English interviews. So, but there was things going on that I wanted to know, so I started learning German, and then I got hooked on German cop shows and German cooking shows, and I actually went to Austria this past November to see her in concert. I sometimes have to do German subtitles, and I still sometimes have to like write things down, or I'll take the captions, the closed captions and throw them into italki or other, translator program, but I'm starting to understand more and more, and then there's certain phrases that you start to hear over and over again because it's, music and entertainment business, like, stage and persona and things like that, and so it starts to build up in your head, and you start to get a better picture. I had been, getting myself familiar with German for about 8 months before I, started doing Add One Challenge. And because I just knew that I was not, it's Duolingo is great for the quick fix and the drills and just to get yourself familiar with the language, but I wasn't really learning the why of the language or how actual people actually spoke it in everyday settings. So I felt I needed to just get a more intense experience. I wanted to make videos for all, the 30, 60, and 90-day video. My 90-day video ended up being late because of family emergency and issues with my instructor, who also had a family emergency. But I completed it, even though it was like a week after the deadline date. It was like, I don't care. I need to complete all three parts of it. And that really helped because it was, we had a little bit of meetings with study groups, and our bulletin board was kind of active, or so our Slack group was kind of active. But I really, to be really honest, I really started seeing results in the second one because I had a fantastic study group, hello Thursday night study group, and they were great because we met often and we compared a lot of notes, and we would refer, different TV programs, and so that the whole part of just people doing it together as a group was great. And, the spreadsheets I found were great too. I mean, just to sit down and write sentences, just to track the amount of time you're talking, everything like that. It's very, very helpful. I didn't have to worry. I didn't have to worry about finding people to talk to because I'd found, instructors through italki. I had found, conversation partners through Tandem and Language Exchange, and even a Facebook group for my Myers-Briggs personality type. I just threw it out there. Who wants to talk to me every now and again? And I found somebody, amazing woman Almuth, who talks to me like we talk every few weeks, and it's great. And it helps because she had lived in the U.S. and wants to keep up with her English, so it worked out great. The second time I found out is I found myself mentoring people more, like saying, just make a crummy video, but you'll be done with it. It's not going to be anywhere near as bad as you think it is. Just start talking, just get your feet out in front of you. So I found that I had more of a mentor role, but the enthusiasm from everybody else was great too. It kept me honest. It's like, if I'm telling people they need to do these things, I need to do these things as well. If I say make a Anki deck and keep adding things to it, then I needed to stay on top of my deck. And if we're all going to compare notes on the German TV show Crime Scene Cleaner, I need to actually watch it, and we, get when we can sit down and talk about it. Just all these things. There's the MHZ TV network, which you can get on cable or you can get it as an app that has German shows as subtitles. I got to the point where I pretty much watched everything. So I found a German Roku channel called UTV, which is a cloud DVR, which has got all German TV. No subtitles, but it's everything from kids shows to news to uh, the national German crime TV show Tatort, and it's great. And it's all different levels, and you learn a lot. And you can throw the closed caption on there, at least see the German captions. I also really like Links, which is LINQ, and that's great because you can take just about any document on the web and dump it into their translation widget. It's not the best translation. I mean, because it's an automatic translator, but it's very good, and it makes flashcards from it, and you can really pick up a lot of information that way. There's this thing called which I highly recommend. It's by the gentleman who does Smarter German, called the German Articles Buster, and it's basically a mnemonic device where a word comes up with a different gender, and you imagine it either being on top of Superman, a queen, or a baby. And of course, Superman is male, the queen is female, and the baby is neutral. So it'll come up and it'll be a word like das Boot. And so, of course, you think of it on top of the baby. Then a few rounds later, the word Boot comes up, and then you remember it's article, so it's nice. I mean, I use a whole toolbox. I use Babbel for some things, Duolingo for some things. Drops is nice. I tried to do 6 days a week, 45 minutes. Since I was trying to get ready for a trip to Austria, I studied more, but at the bare minimum, I did 45 minutes a day, 6 days a week. And it's very important to take the day off. It just, because if you're studying that much of a language, other things are sliding, and you kind of don't want them to slide while you're prepping for other things. It kind of, you don't want to emerge from the Add One challenge to find that you haven't done laundry in like 3 months. That's not a great thing. So you kind of have to balance it. I did a lot of studying on the bus. I had a long bus ride. Also, right before I went to bed, I did a lot of right before I went to bed. I had super early lessons because I'm talking to people from Germany and I'm in America, so it's a 7-hour difference. So lots of times I'd get up at like 5:30 for a lesson. But that was definitely not my most productive time. I mean, I could talk and learn things, but my best time was probably, mid-morning and then in the evening. My feelings before, I think I tried to get too ambitious for my videos in the first go around. Like I was trying to do elaborate things, and it didn't quite pan out. The second time I did it, I thought a little bit harder. Like for the 30-day one, I kept it loose. I think the 60-day one, I talked about knee surgery or something, and I did some little pictures with it, and because I just had a knee injection, and then the third one, I just recorded a lesson. I really worked hard on my lesson, but I had a conversation with my teacher, and it was part of a lesson, and that was the best thing to do. It's like I saw other people's slicker videos, and I wanted to make, but I said, you know what? You're working full time. You have other things going on. Just try to do the best you can with the time you have, and just really focus on, showing what you're learning. So I felt good after doing them. Sometimes you kind of cringe when you see yourself, but I felt a lot better about the videos this time around than the first challenge. And I didn't feel that bad about them. I just thought I was biting off more than I could chew. It was difficult at the end of the first one because my father-in-law had passed, and there were a lot of issues going on with that. So it was really, it's all actually, when I think about it, it was a nice distraction to just be able to study German. But the second one, the motivation was really good because I was like, I'm going to Austria and I'd like to be able to talk to people. I mean, the whole truism is true that Germans want to talk English to you. Austrians want to talk English to you because they want to practice their English. But I got some talking in. I probably got the most German in at the Victoria and Albert Museum when I was ordering they have their souvenir book and they have it in about 10 different languages. And I picked up the one in German and just so I could practice studying it. So, it's like I had the motivation of the trip and I had I want to get this done. I do not want to quit. Just because I've had things happen saying I want to finish this challenge and I'm going to finish it even though my final video won't make me a finalist because it'll be after the deadline. Now I'm having motivation issues because I don't have a trip planned, but I still have habits that am carrying over even though I'm studying less intensely. Like, for example, I'll tune in and watch my German TV Sunday nights, and I'll pull out Duolingo a few times, Babbel. I try to keep regular lessons up, and it's not as intense, but I'm still keeping a maintenance going. I think the first 90-day video, it kind of eludes me because I think I was talking about German television and stuff with one of my instructors and other things, and it was kind of choppy. And like I said, it wasn't my favorite thing on earth, but it was sort of funny. The second one, I basically make pickles, and so I basically talked about my pickle recipe, and I talked about going to Austria, talked to my instructor, and I have a couple different instructors, and we just had a very easy conversation about, she'd be prompting me with questions and I'd be asking them, and I'd send her the pickle recipe in advance, and so she'd ask me questions about what do I do, and so I could use my cooking German, and then we talked about the places I was going to visit, and so I went pretty well. I think it was like I felt more stress and good old angst before the recordings, but once during them and after, it was fine. But it's just the whole building up in your mind. And I think, in fact, the second one, I kind of lost track of time. It was flowing really nicely. The first one, I sure as heck didn't. It was like, just got to get through this. And, I did and lived. So just to keep at it and just to talk. That's a huge thing. Also, writing. I can't stress to people that the writing is as important, if not more important than the talking, because you can write scripts, you can, and then also there's this whole bullet journal thing that people are using now, developed by a person with ADHD. And the thing is, if you have a learning issue or ADHD, when you write things over and over again, it really helps them stick better than people like repeating them through talking or looking at them. If you get the physical motion of writing over and over again, it's going to stick in your head. Well, one, if you're just starting it, find your people to talk to right this minute. Like, right this minute. Don't wait till you have to talk to people. Do it as soon as you're able. Even if you don't talk to people, you can text them. Take an italki lesson. If you don't want to do a teacher, talk to a community tutor. They're great. Just start talking right now. And then also, I would keep a spiral notebook of all your writing, all your practicing, all your scripts, because you can pull that out and look at it later, rewrite it as you learn the language. And also, if you're talking to 4 or 5 different people and you write down what you told the first person, you can keep building on those phrases. So, have a notebook and talk to people right away. Yeah, just go out there, make as many mistakes as you can. Just do it. I mean, because of my brain, I am used to making mistakes. I make a boatload of mistakes every single day, And so a lot of people are nervous about that. It's like, don't be nervous about making mistakes. Make lots of mistakes. Sometimes it can be a joke. For example, I thought the word for horseshoe in German would be Pferdschuh, which means horse and shoe, right? And I asked, someone said, what is a lucky thing in America, in German? And I said, oh, a Pferdschuh. And she looked at me. It's like, do you mean Hufeisen? I'm like, oh, okay. And she says, but don't freak out. I knew exactly what you meant. So it's like, if you make up weird compound words or you mix up tenses or you sound like a genius baby, just roll with it.